Hi, my name is Dahlia, freelance editor and aspiring author, and today I'm here to do the AuthorTube Fantasy Creature Collaboration Design. This collaboration was created by Danny Ranger, who is linked below, and there are a whole bunch of people tagged within this tag. So I will put the playlist down below so all you guys can see all the videos and go through them and binge watch them. So basically what you do with this challenge is you pick a trait from a list. You choose the alignment, the aura or demeanor, the power type, the form, and the world they are from. And then once you've done there, you draw the creature or attempt to draw the creature and write a short scene involving the creature. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up is the creature's alignment. They can either be good, neutral, evil, or unknown. Being that I write dystopian, I would prefer it if it was either unknown or possibly evil. I got evil. Next is the creature's aura or demeanor. They could be light, neutral, or dark. I feel like with this one, it would be better if the creature was dark, but then again, it could be kind of like a cover if it was light, or there could be a reason why it was light, like it was bewitched or it tricked people. Neutral. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna make that work or tie that into the story. It is a good cover though, working with like a militant force and trying to take over a world. Take over a city? So the next step is power, and basically this is whatever you want. So rather than choosing a power, I'm going to write some down and then I'm going to choose out of my mug. So for the power, I tried to be a bit vague because the next step is kind of like it describes their power type. So I have telekinesis, runes or tattoos. They could be protection, or we'll see what happens when we go to the next step. And control or manipulation. I got control and manipulation. The next step is power type, and this one kind of follows on from the last step. So you can choose whatever you want, but I've got 3 set out: psychic, elemental, and spell casting. Spell casting. So now what I mean by this is that, say with spell casting and control and manipulation, that is the way that they control and manipulate. They cast spells. Whether this be verbal or in some other way, I'll have to figure out, because I can't do runes or symbols because I didn't get that for power. So I'm gonna have to figure out another way that they can cast spells to control and manipulate. They would be a great lackey for a dystopian world. That is what I'm hoping I get, dystopian, because that's kind of what this is leading up to. If I get something else like Earth, it may not work as well. Step number 5 is the creature's form. So we can either have camouflaged, mechanical, spiritual, or organic. I think either one of these would be pretty cool to get, although the camouflage one might be the most interesting to draw. Mechanical. This is going to work if we get dystopian. And the last step is their world. So their world can either be science fiction, dystopian, fantasy, or Earth. I'm obviously hoping to get dystopian. Sci-fi. Sci-fi works as well. I don't typically write sci-fi, but I do have science fiction elements to my stories. That could work with mechanical. There could be some sort of experiment gone wrong, or some sort of evolution of some sort of creature. Now I'm just thinking like an animal Terminator. So in the early days of the Acro Contessa, I actually had a kind of a theory going about like robotic dogs, which I ended up changing. I may add them back in, but I don't really know, because I don't understand why they would be robotic. It doesn't really make sense with the world. So I think my theory here is going to be like a similar aspect to what I was thinking in the Acra Contessa. The only problem is that I don't know exactly how I want to make it. I'm not sure if I want it to be partially mechanical or completely mechanical, because the form is mechanical, but in a sci-fi world I think that you could kind of create a robot dog from an actual dog. So when I was younger, I used to draw a lot of dragons as well. Like, I was obsessed with drawing dragons. I haven't drawn a dragon in a long time. So even I'm not sure how this is going to go. What I typically end up drawing is a lot of tattoos, and not a lot of tattoos with dragons in them. But I guess the theory of this dog is going to be pretty similar to the dragon idea. So unfortunately you can't see as much as I would like you to be able to see currently. I don't have an adjustable tripod, which makes this rather difficult. That will be my next purchase, because I want to do plan with me's, and you can't really see them from the only place where I can put a camera, you know, which is right where it is right now, or around the place, so you can vaguely see what I'm drawing, and that's really not very helpful. But I will take periodic videos throughout the drawings so that I can show you what's going on. This is Spot. He is your friendly neighborhood watchdog. So I've written about 800 words, and the funny thing is I know I was supposed to write science fiction, but it's kind of turned into dystopian anyway, which the basis of science fiction generally can be dystopian regardless. So I was going to edit it, but I think it would be more fun reading a first draft, because it is, I mean, it's not the worst thing that I've ever written, but it's full of filtering. But all in all, I like the way that it's kind of heading, and it's giving me ideas for another book. So without further ado, let's get to reading this very interesting little story. Prudence jumped for joy when her parents said she could finally have her very own Spot. All her friends had one, and she was left out, as per usual. So when she got to the store and the salesman opened the box and plugged Spot in, she was enamored with the dog's red eye. The dull store light reflected off the camera, and she grinned. He would film everything she did and store it on a memory card that she could then review later, even a decade later. Spot twitched his sonar ear, facing it towards Prudence, and tilted his head. She spoke close to the sonar, and the mechanical dog flinched. Her father put his hand on her shoulder and drew her back slightly, her face flushed. She sat before Spot and spoke gently. When she had finished her sentence, she hit the button on his hind quarter, and he recited her words exactly as she had said them. The salesman pet the dog roughly on the head. "He's the latest model, been selling like no other camera." "Well," her father chuckled, "not all cameras can protect a child in the event of an accident, now can they?" The salesman shook his head. "Indeed." Her mother knelt before her. "Do you want this one?" Prudence nodded. "What else can he do?" The salesman took a knee. "Little girl, he can do whatever you want. He records all data and sends it to the officials, who sort through it all and send it to the appropriate places. We want to make sure everyone is safe, and Spot is the way to do that." "So I can take him for a walk and scratch his tummy?" "Of course you can. This model prefers tummy scratches over walking. He likes to snuggle in at the end of your bed at night too." She beamed. "Like a real dog." Spot is modelled off what we think real dogs would behave like. Without having a specimen, it can be hard to tell, but we're sure you'll love him just as much as you would love a real dog. "I will take him." Spot looked up at her and wagged his tail. The metal whip designed for protection from attackers sliced through the air, and her father jumped out of the way. Prudence giggled and petted the dog's head. "Good boy." They left the store, Spot in tow, and returned home to show Spot his new bed. The dog sniffed through the house, rubbing the scent gland installed in his neck over the wallpaper and couches. He then sat on the carpet and analysed the television. Prudence sat next to him and put her arm around him. "Would you like to watch the television?" Her parents walked into the kitchen, and she slid a storage device from the back of the TV into the back of the TV. "This used to be my favourite show when I was a little girl. I'm big now, but you're only small, so you have to watch baby shows until you're old enough, okay?" Spot laid down, his eyes on the screen. Prudence pressed a few buttons and an ancient film of Dora the Explorer popped up. She rested her hand on Spot's leg. When Dora spoke a sentence in Spanish, Prudence's mother rushed into the lounge room and reefed the driver out of the television, her eyes on the dog. Prudence stood and crossed her arms. What are you doing, Mummy? We were watching that. Spot stood, cocking his head back and forth. He sniffed the drive in Prudence's mother's hand, his sonar ear emitting tiny beeps in a strange pattern. Prudence stamped her foot. Mum, what are you doing? Her mother glanced at her, then behind her to her father. I thought you got rid of this. Her father snatched it out of Prudence's mother's hand. I thought I found them all. He glanced at Spot. Did he? She nodded, swallowing. How long? She shrugged. Spot opened his mouth and a mechanical voice came through. Stay where you are. Do not attempt to leave. Contraband has been determined and due processing will begin soon. He repeated it over and over and Prudence's mother threw the drive out the window. Prudence frowned. What happened? Her father patted her head. Dora is not government issue, sweetie. Spot shows the government that you were watching it. Showed. This means Mummy and Daddy will get into trouble. Her wide eyes squinted. What does that mean? We have to leave, okay? He picked up the nearby chair and swung it at Spot. They collided and the dog went down, whimpering. Prudence screamed, but her mother picked her up and they raced out of the house, only to leap into the arms of the awaiting officers. So being that dystopian is like a subgenre of science fiction, I guess it ties in really well. It could be both dystopian and science fiction and still pass as either. The mechanical advances show that it is science fiction. But anyway, so that is the conclusion to this challenge. It was really fun to add a drawing element into a writing element, and I haven't drawn in quite some time, so it was quite enjoyable. Everyone else's video who is tagged will be linked in the description bar below, the entire playlist, so go and check out the other videos because I'm sure they're going to be just as brilliant as this one is. If you want to know more about me or my life or my books or my services or anything else, everything is in the description bar. So thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Bye!